What's up YouTube? This is Karyu from Xccelerate, and today we'll be learning about HTML and CSS. And we'll also be learning how to make a basic website using the skills that we learned today. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. So what is HTML and CSS? HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. It describes the structure of the web page using different tags representing different elements. For example, a header tag for writing your header, and a paragraph tag to write your paragraph. Now, we don't see these tags in the actual website. Instead, it displays the content of the website and outputs it into the website. Now for CSS. CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheet. It's a presentation language created to style the appearance of the content. For example, the font of the words or the basic color of the website. Now, with one CSS file, we can change the look of the entire website by just changing one file. And this, in turn, helps us save a lot of time. The two languages, HTML and CSS, are independent of one another, and it should be remained that way. CSS should not be written inside of HTML document, and vice versa. As a rule, HTML will always represent content, and CSS will always represent appearance of that content. So what does this all mean? To put it simply, HTML is responsible for content, while CSS is responsible for the looks of the content. Imagine in the body, HTML is the bones, while the CSS is the skin, or the clothes you wear. Now, later on we're going to be learning about the third part of the body, the muscles, the interactivity with you and the website, but we'll go in depth later. But enough of all this jargon and everything. Let's just start coding on VS Code and just go straight at it. We have a basic layout of the static web page that we want to be using. This is a very good example that I've taken from Travis Media in YouTube. He's a very good YouTuber. He does a lot of tutorials for web development. I strongly suggest you watch some videos if you have time. He goes over it more in depth. I'm gonna be doing it a bit more quickly than he does, but I'll try to explain things on the way as I go through this web page and my thought process and why we do certain things and whatnot. So as you can see in this web page, it's very simple. It's just one page. We have the header, we have a nav bar here, we have a little company name, whatnot. We have landing page or the big photo things, subscribe, have our three little cards here, helps us talk about different things of what we sell. Of course, we have our footer. Now, I have a HTML and CSS on my file on my example page, and I also have images that I will be using. If you guys want to follow along, you guys could also download. I'll put a link on the description below so you could get the pictures so that you could also follow along on this journey that we have. So let us begin. So we want to start off with the basic HTML layout. Now basically what this talks about is the document type of HTML. So when the web browser looks at this file, it's gonna be like, okay, this is an HTML file. The meta and the different char set basically tells you what format it is and also tells you what kind of size that you want this web page. It's gonna make it default to whatever you're using, and it also gives you a title of document. We're gonna change this. This is the title of the little tab thing here. So we have Xccelerate Learning. Welcome. This is the home page. So that's Xccelerate Learning. Learning. Welcome. Muy bien. So after we finish that, we're gonna go straight into the body. Now the body is where you keep all of your content. This is where you type in all your content, have it ready to share, and this is what it's going to show into the website. So we're going to start right now. We're going to start off with a section, then we're gonna go into wrong here. We're going to type in, starting with the header. Oh, use capital. A header. So this is the purple bit here. We're going to be giving it a different. We're going to give it another div, which is a division, another section of a box, and we're going to give this a class of container. Now, what a class is that we're going to go on later about talking about ID, but class is basically a tag that you put onto another tag. So when you write your CSS, you could pinpoint that exact class name and then change the style of that one thing. The mouse is acting up really weird here, but let us go on. So now we're gonna talk about another. So we're gonna call this one branding. Oops, sorry. ID branding. Conventionally, you don't want to use capital. But yeah, so that's the difference between the class and the ID. The ID is something that you only use once, while class is something you use multiple times. So I will be, throughout this tutorial, we're going to be using a lot of containers. I'm going to be making another div, the class with container. So you'll get used to it and you'll understand why I do things the way it is. I'll explain it in a bit. Bam. Let's just keep going with this. Alright, so we're going to type in exactly what we have. We're going to put Xccelerate example HTML. And then I could also see that they changed the color. So I'm just going to put in a span here. I'm going to take this. I'm just going to plop it right there. A span isn't going to make a new line or anything. If span is basically a tag you put inside another tag to make sure if you want to change stylings in that certain point, it's when you use span. So you'll see what I'm talking about very soon. Basically, I'm trying to pinpoint just Xccelerate so I could change the color later. Now that is done. So after we do that, we are also going to be putting a nav bar because we have a navigation bar right over here. We're going to put nav. Inside this nav, we're going to use another tag called unordered list, and then a list item. So that's what it means. It basically gives you a little list thingy. And then we're going to give this one a class of current because, as you can see here, this one is also changing color. I'm just going to give it a class name of current so that when we make new web pages or another HTML, I'll just change the current to another thing on if we are on that web page at that current time. But yes, so home. Home. I'm going to take, more importantly, I'm gonna have to put this inside another tag called aref. And then we're gonna put in index.html. So that's the home page we're working on right now. Why we want to put in an A tag is because when they click on it, they'll go into that web page. It's like it directs you to that web page if you click on it, if you have a working href here. So if I were to put something like for example google.com here and then they click on home, it's gonna redirect you to Google. It's redirectional purposes. What is this doing here? Go back where you are. Alright, so anyway, we're gonna just take this and we're just going to copy it twice. I'm lazy. Ooh, that looks ugly. Up a little bit. Ooh, why is it like that? Oh, it's because it's wrapping it. Not liking it. Ooh. Ooh. Go. There. Looks great. Now, I don't want all of these to be current, so I'm just going to get rid of the class for this one, just gonna get rid of the classes that need to. And perfect. Perfect. So that's basically the navbar right here. So that's done. We're gonna move on to the next section here. We're gonna call this part like the landing or showcase. So we're going to make a section tag. A section tag is to separate sections from different parts, as the name implies. Just to keep everything organized. And I'm gonna give this the ID because I'm only gonna have one of showcase. And inside, I'm gonna make another div called class, and if you guessed it, I'm going to make it into container because I will have a global style for these guys. So whenever I put a class of container in a certain div, it's gonna be styled the exact same way throughout. So I don't need to repeat code or repeat my styles when I go on later on. And inside we have an h1 tag, it's called Xccelerate learning. Accelerate your learning. Oh, I just realized there's a spelling error here and it's not capitalized. Wow, okay. Well, we're not gonna make the same mistake here. We are doing it right on this one. So there. And underneath that, we have a little paragraph here. So we're gonna use the p tag, which stands for paragraph. And I'm going to use the placeholder text of lorem and 40-ish. Yeah, that looks about right. So if you don't want to type in a whole bunch of things, you could just type in lorem and a number of words that you want, and it will randomly choose this lorem ipsum stuff and then make it into 40 words so that you don't need to keep typing in anything. So if you need placeholder text, lorem, that's the way to go. And yeah, I think this is it. That was a quick section. Alright, and we're gonna move on. Another section. And in this one, we're gonna use the newsletter. So we're going to give this an ID, because I'm only gonna use one. And we're gonna put in newsletter. So in this newsletter, we're going to have a div and then a class of, you guessed it, container. Keeping it organized. Alright, so in here we have a h1, I'm guessing. h3 maybe? A little smaller. Huh. Let's just go with h1 for now. Quite big. We could change the text later anyway. So subscribe to our newsletter. Perfect. And then now we're going to, underneath it, well, in the web page it's next to it, but on the script underneath it, we're going to give it a form. Now a form takes in a lot of different things. It has normally what you type in and then you submit a form, that kind of stuff. We'll be making our own form, and it says action here. We're gonna keep that blank simply because we don't have JavaScript to handle actions at this moment, so I'm gonna ignore that for now. And then now we are going to type in input, and inside it's gonna be email. That's the type of form that we want. And I'm also going to put in the placeholder because I can see that there's enter email here. I'm gonna put enter email. Alright, that looks great. Now we're going to need a button here, so we're gonna use our ES6 syntax of button. Whoop. And then we're going to give it a type of submit. And I'm actually going to give this a class because I see he put some styling on this class. So I'm going to put in a class of a button because I want to keep my buttons all the same. That's why I'm using a class. If I want to make this specific button different from everything else, I would put an ID. But since we're not, then we're just gonna put it as class. You guys get it. Alright. Now we're gonna put in subscribe, and that looks like it's it. Now we're gonna go into our fourth section. Little card thingies, right? You guys guessed it, we're gonna have another section. You guys guessed it again, we're gonna have an ID. And we're gonna call this boxes. And inside boxes, we're gonna have a div, and then the class of container. Yep, you guys know it. And inside here, we're going to make these three little individual boxes. So we'll call this div, and then we're gonna give it a class of box, like singular box. And inside our box, we're gonna have an image tag, so that it has images. You know, very simple. And then we're going to / asset images, and then the first one onto the left is Python, so we're going to use Python image. And if the image for some reason doesn't load, you could put in something that describes the image so that people will know what you were trying to show. So we're going to type in Python image, Python logo. Try to describe it quickly, but at the same time very clearly on what the picture was. So in here we're gonna put in an H3. It's called data science. Bada bing, bada boom. And then we're gonna have a P tag again. This time not so much. Lorem 20 would. Alright, fantastic. So that I finished making one box, but we have 3 boxes. So I'm just gonna copy and paste that 2 more times here, if I know how to. Perfect. Now we have 3 boxes, but we're gonna have to change this up. This one is JavaScript, and this one is UI UX. So, but then we also have to change this. We're gonna have change this to JavaScript logo. We're gonna go UI/UX logo. And then we're gonna change the H3. Type in web develop. Oh. I don't want to spell it wrong, or else I'm not gonna hear the end of it. Nope. Yeah, that's it. That's the 4th section. That was really quick, actually. Now we move on. After this section is our last section, our footer. So we're gonna use a footer tag. Just type in footer, gonna come out, tab. Fantastic. And in here we're going to have a p tag. Let's make that right syntax. And then it says Xccelerate learning copyright. To make the copyright logo, you want to use the ampersand copy semicolon and then 2018. Perfect. And that's it. We have made our website. Now, since we haven't added in our CSS, you guys are for a treat, because now we're gonna look at it. And this is how it looks like. Wow, it looks so bad. Oh, I forgot to change home here. My goodness. Oh my goodness. Why is there double? Oh. See, this is the problem. This is a book. And this is contact? Or service. As you can see, this plain HTML looks absolutely horrendous here.